Hello everyone, thanks for joining us in the world now. I am Nifemi Oguntoyim. Let's begin with activities leading to the funeral of the Catholic pontiff scheduled for Saturday. The Pope Francis is now lying in state in St. Peter's Basilica. It will remain there for 3 days until his funeral, which is expected to be attended by world leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump. His body was transferred to the Basilica in a procession earlier today and was followed by a service led by Kevin Joseph Farrell, the cardinal tasked with making arrangements for Pope's funeral and the conclave in the weeks ahead. Pope Francis' coffin was laid at the altar of the Confession, a sacred space above the tomb of St. Peter, the first Pope. Cardinals in the Basilica have approached the coffin in pairs to pay their respects before members of the public began to file past the coffin and pay their final tribute. The Basilica opened to the public at 11 a.m. local time today and will remain open until midnight. On Thursday and Friday, it will open at 7 a.m. and close at midnight. Before his death, Pope Francis scaled down his funeral rites, doing away with the tradition of having 3 coffins of cypress, lead, and oak. 18 Africans are among 135 cardinals to elect the next pope. And on the streets of Rome, security measures have been visibly tightened, particularly around the Vatican, as Catholic faithful gather to honor the memory of Pope Francis. The city is preparing for a significant influx of visitors in the coming days, with pilgrims from around the world expected to attend the pontiff's funeral. Soldiers and policemen have taken positions, and pilgrims desperate to witness the funeral already making hotel reservations. Back here in Lagos, a solemn mass has been held at the Holy Cross Cathedral for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis, who served as the spiritual leader of the Catholic Church for 12 years. All priests under the Archdiocese of Lagos are present for the liturgy, joined by parishioners from across the Archdiocese in what many describe as an act of love and devotion to the late pontiff. The Mass takes place during the octave of Easter, a period in which the Church continues to celebrate the joy of the resurrection. But today's liturgy carried a special solemnity as Pope Francis is remembered in the intercession for the dead as instructed by the Church. It's a moment of mourning and reflection, but also one of thanksgiving as the faithful honor the memory of the man they call the Vicar of Christ on earth. Now let's bring in an advocate for peace and social justice, Reverend Father Gideon Paramalam. Thank you for joining us on the news this hour. The Pope was known for quite a number of things, especially his humble beginning, working several jobs, including being a bouncer at a nightclub. But I'm told you met with him before he became Pope. What's your memory of the man the whole world now remember and celebrate?
Yeah, thank you very much. I had the privilege of meeting one-on-one with the Pope in Buenos Aires, Argentina, when he was the Archbishop. And it was a gathering of global Christian leaders from around the world. And we were hosted under the auspices of the Lausanne Congress for World Evangelization. And the Pope was invited to speak to a smaller team of us who are leaders around the world. And I still remembered he gave an exposition from the book of Ephesians, chapter 5. And he was extremely, I must say this, very biblical in the way he exposed the truths of Scripture. his insights into scripture were very deep and very profound. But then I found this man to be very simple. He was actually dressed, apart from the collar, you would hardly notice that this was the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. And I didn't even know at the time that he was going to be the future Pope in a
Indeed.
few years' time. So we connected with him, and then we actually greeted personally, shook hands. I wish I took a photo of him. But let me say that apart from his humility, he was also a man of peace. I must say this. He has a heart for the most vulnerable of us in society. And he cared for those who are weak and those who are poor. That's the kind of man the Pope was.
I hear
and
you.
when he became Pope,
Indeed.
when he became Pope, you can hear him. He just went straight and asked, "Can you please pray for me?" That was his first pronouncement. And that moved many of us that knew him. And I just felt, oh no, this is good. And you can see that throughout his years of serving as the Pope, the impact of his work was felt all over the world. And let me add that the Pope was very, very concerned for the persecuted church. He had a heart for the persecuted church, and he went on to Mosul to encourage Christians in Iraq. And he also did same for Christians in Egypt, especially those that were killed, were beheaded because of their faith in Libya by ISIS at the time. So that's the man
Indeed.
I knew. Actually,
Reverend Father.
last year.
Yes. Allow me to jump in quickly. You have highlighted his humility, his reverence for the Bible, and as an advocate of peace. We're also watching right now as crowds file past Pope Francis' coffin in St. Peter's Basilica. Many remember him as a voice for the poor, as well as a bridge builder. But critics argue that the church lagged on reforms like women's ordination and what we have come to know as abuse scandals. How would you assess his legacy in that light? Did he go far enough, or did institutional constraints limit his vision?
Yeah, thank you. I think you've mentioned it. Institutional constraints actually limited what he could have done as Pope, by the way, within a short time. He is one of the popes that reigned not quite long when you compare with others, like Pope John Paul from Poland that was there for many years. Of course, Benedict had to resign. But we must admit that this Pope actually, he was, from time to time, he wasn't too well. You could understand that he wasn't too well. And so it wasn't that easy for him. Yes, you hear some of those criticisms, but believe me, he had other priorities that he gave attention to. I believe that if he was longer, I can assure you that he would have done a lot to even encourage women. So I wouldn't take it as a criticism. I'll probably say that he didn't have enough time to do what he could have done. But there's only one concern I had. I really wish the Pope had actually visited Nigeria. Nigeria has one of the most populated Catholics all over the world. And I was hoping that he would visit Nigeria. He didn't get to visit Nigeria. But I hope that, it's not every Pope that will come to Nigeria. But all the same, I celebrate him.
Well, good place to leave it. You, alongside others, have advocated for kingdom values in Africa. There are questions as to what lessons African leaders, both religious and political, take from his time as Pope. But I'm told we're out of time now. Reverend Father Gideon Paramalam, thank you so much for talking to us on the news this hour.
Thank you. It's actually